Noon, everybody. We have a lot that is happening right now. Obviously, we have First Holy Communion. So those of you who are here for that, this is the first time you get to partake in the body and blood of Jesus Christ. In addition to that, we're officially canonizing 2 new saints, which is technically tomorrow, but tonight we are celebrating Sunday, so to me it counts. So starting tomorrow, we officially recognize Pope John the 23rd and Pope John Paul II as saints. And it's Divine Mercy Sunday, because it's the Sunday 1 week after Easter. So you guys have a lot of ways to remember what day you had your First Holy Communion. And all these things are great. So, for those of you that know me at least a little bit, you probably know that I like questions. One of my favorite songs actually has a part where it goes, "And if you're not getting answers, ask better questions." And I think that's great advice. So I have a question for all of you. Anybody who wants to take a shot, raise your hand. What is Divine Mercy? Today is Divine Mercy Sunday. What's Divine Mercy? Okay, a brave volunteer. What's Divine Mercy?
I don't know.
Okay. Thanks for raising your hand anyway. It is a tricky question. I'll give you my best short answer. For me, Divine Mercy is God's love for us, even though we're not perfect and we make mistakes. Because that's what God does. He forgives us for just anything possible that we could do. And all we have to do in return is ask for it. And we learn about this divine mercy in the gospel today. Remember Thomas? Most of the story is about Thomas and Jesus. Well, Thomas in this story is being difficult. He's really upset, and he has reason to be upset because he thought Jesus was dead and gone. He was mourning, and he didn't know that he came back like the other disciples did. He was in a bad mood. And being in a bad mood isn't actually a sin, but if you're in a bad mood, that can cause people to yell at you. Or worse, it can put them in a bad mood right back at you. Maybe that reminds you of a brother or sister, or a parent, or a teacher, maybe a deacon or a priest. I hope not. But the point is simple. Bad moods can give other people bad moods. And that's exactly what might have happened with Jesus and Thomas if Jesus was an ordinary guy. But of course he isn't. He's the Son of God. Jesus responds to Thomas with just as much kindness and soft-spoken words as he always does. And he doesn't pretend that there isn't a problem. He confronts the problem that Thomas is having. And that takes courage. Because avoiding a problem is always easy, but it's not always the right thing to do. So what problem am I talking about exactly? Well, Thomas started making demands. God doesn't like it when we do that. He said, "I'm not going to believe until I see the holes in his hands and put my finger in his wounds." Probably not the most polite thing to say. So Jesus comes in, and what he says is, Here I am, Thomas. Here are my wounds. You can poke them if you need to. And that's part of the divine mercy, because Jesus did not have to say that. I mean, he could have come in and booted Thomas out of the disciples. He could have just chosen not to show up and never see Thomas again and just leave Thomas in his pain for the rest of his life. He could have come into that room and screamed and yelled at Thomas for what he had said. But Jesus didn't do any of that. Like the friend that he was, he offered Thomas that which Thomas needed in order to understand. That's friendship in the face of doubt, anger, and gloom. That's divine mercy. Do you remember what happens next in the gospel? It's my favorite part of this reading. Jesus says, "Here are my wounds, Thomas. Poke them if you need to." And Thomas says, "My Lord and my God." What we might today say, "It is you." So remember this. You'll impress every priest you ever meet if you remember this. In this story, Thomas does not poke Jesus' wounds. He doesn't do it. He doesn't need to. Just seeing Jesus is enough. Experiencing Jesus' kindness and mercy was more than enough, and he didn't need anything else. So you could say that Jesus' mercy toward Thomas resulted in Thomas's trust in Jesus. Because that's what mercy does. I said before that a bad mood makes other bad moods. Well, it's just the same with mercy. Mercy spreads and grows as if it's a living thing. Absolutely. And spreading out mercy throughout one's life, that's how you become a saint. And that's the kind of mercy that we receive every time we take Holy Communion. And that's what today is about. So I'm a few minutes early, but congratulations in advance to all of you, and may you always be people of mercy.